Hello, good afternoon. Patricio Montesinos is going to coordinate now the results of the 3 workshops of this morning. So, it's your turn, Patricio.
I know it's a problem for the camera, but if it is possible to switch off more lights, if possible, another one, is possible that? Leave the last one, David. Deja la última encendida, si acaso. This is just to help you to have the siesta. As you know, this is something very typical, very developed in South Asia. In Asia, they call siesta instead meditation. So if you want to meditate, you have now the time for doing that. We are not going to say anything about that because we call that siesta. Okay? So I would like to bring, it's not my turn to work, it's the turn to work for the coordinators. If possible, the 3 coordinators, Javier, you also, Vanessa, yes, please, stand up. Never mind, when Manolo arrives, he will substitute Javier. Probably he's now meditating. So, why I do that? Because I don't want to work. Well, this is something of the things that I love to say more, is you have power if you are able to make other works. No, you must be there. Okay. In fact, there. Stand up, yeah. Not only work, but also stand up. I feel now really, really powerful, you know, so... This is slavery. Thank you very much for this opportunity to make them suffer. So now, leaving the jokes, our idea now to make you enjoy a little bit with the work you have done, you did an excellent work, is to share that in a specific order. Considering you have worked with materials, with energy and with water, the idea is the coordinators will share with you the results, with the whole group, the results of each particular group during half an hour. And after that, it's your turn to make questions or to make suggestions or simply to desire to go to have more coffee, whatever you decide. No? So, but the first half an hour, we will concentrate on the results, on what you have produced till now, okay? So the first step is what you have formulated as what you liked from what you saw till the moment. And the first group is materials. Javier, the floor is yours.
Our group concentrated on how to solve the problem of air quality and environmental pollution within the city of Alcoy. There first was a presentation on how to establish a network for capturing important information about air quality, basically is oxygen concentration, CO2, wind velocity, humidity, temperature, NOx, SOx, and so on. And from that standards, from these measurements, we proceeded on to see what possible solutions we could implement to develop better air quality within the city of Alcoy. Actually, from the different things we saw and presented during our group work, people liked very much the possibility of introducing electric mobility, both in cars or the motorbike that was presented to us this morning. Also, recycling policies, reducing the use of materials, changing personal mobility to something more physical, like walking around the city, which is very good for your health and also for the environment. Introducing better public transport, making it more efficient, cheap, and updated with the needs of the user. Introducing different new generation engines in cars which are more efficient and clean, and producing social awareness, public awareness on the importance of all these parameters and the different habits we have, our personal habits, which are influencing a lot the results on the quality of air. Finally, we concluded it is a matter of educating people in the right direction, which is good for all of us. And finally, obviously, we need to change the policy of air conditioning and not overheating or overcooling the air, which is not needed, making these machines more efficient and making a better use of energy for air conditioning. Thank you.
So, excellent. Then if we have 3 plus 3, that means 9 pluses. I mean, my suggestion is we can wait till the end to close everybody, because we have the time a little bit constrained. Every slide, more or less, I forgot to remind that to Javier, we need to expend more or less 3 minutes per slide, okay? Just to follow a little bit the agenda. So, energy is the next one.
Okay. My turn. Hi. Well, hey. Well, we mainly focus our lights on the good things Alcoy has around energy. That were the electric cars at the hospital that we talk about in the walking through Alcoy, and we talk about also about the university paper and the university works in this this conference, and how we teach students about this energy, the problems of energy, and how can we solve that. So that might be, and solar lighting we talk about that there. Solar lighting at the theater. I'm not sure if that's a theater under Plaza España, that area. So we just highlight good things about Alcoy and energy efficiency.
You can use more time if you want.
No, I don't need more time.
Excellent.
2 minutes for the next slide.
Yes, my group has been working in the theme of water. Regarding with water, the main things the people liked was first the city environment, the mountains in the area. We resulted in a good water quality because of we employ in this case groundwater. So this is a good point here in Alcoy. Although it has been a little bit controversial because, as I tell you afterwards, some people don't want to drink tap water but bottled water. So this could be the second part of the discussion in I wish part. Okay. Also, I have to point that people is aware of the concerns that we have here in Alcoy. We have discussed about the problems we have, and they have perhaps realized that we want to face them and not to hide them. So perhaps these are the things we have focused on.
Excellent. Don Javier, again, in this case, I wish.
The I wish portion was worked around how could we introduce new technologies for making a better development of air quality or making it a better chance for everybody. So the first thing was the introduction of photocatalytic surfaces, photocatalytic concrete, which is something very simple. It's simply putting titanium dioxide in an attached form and using the sun for unpolluting the air and introducing oxygen instead of carbon dioxide. Then we could think of many different ways to introduce self-power street lighting. For example, small solar cells which are embedded on the pavement together with some LED lighting. Some examples of that have already been made, for example, at Cambridge University and in many different places. They are completely sustainable, self-powered, and save a lot of energy and pollution to the environment. Obviously, install more, wider share of sustainable energy, clean energy production instead of the traditional fuel burning techniques for producing electricity, use more solar power, more windmills and so on in the right share for making it really sustainable in the balance which is needed. And obviously, apart from the social awareness, again, introducing sustainable architecture, refurbishing buildings, as was introduced in a different group, and making better use of materials such as we saw in the example this morning.
And the social awareness of problems, you forgot?
No, I introduced it before, the same as we said before.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, next one, energy, I wish.
I wish. Okay. So let me remember. Well, we first talk about using solar energy, introducing more solar energy on private and public buildings. We also talk about laws and taxes. So we have some controversy there. A part of the group that wanted more taxes and the other one that wanted less. We talk about using the river as a way of transport in Alcoy. And more electric bikes in the city. We saw during our visit to Alcoy that bikes at its own is kind of difficult because of the geography of the city, but we're going to have electric bikes and sharing bikes and improving tap water. We also talk about that.
Excellent. And next, I wish in your part.
Yes, people is concerned about tap water. Perhaps somebody told the Erasmus people coming here that tap water here in Alcoy was not drinkable. I have to tell that it's perfectly drinkable. I've been living here for 43 years, and I'm completely healthy. I have always drank tap water, okay? Perhaps you don't like the taste, but it's perfectly drinkable, okay? This is because of the disinfection byproducts, but are quite below limits. We have talked that the people tend to drink bottled water, and perhaps we can enhance some policies in order to make people drink tap water. Okay. Also, they want. There was also some controversial about the public management of water, or at least to survey the quality of water from the public institutions. And finally, also places, there should be more places where you can get drinkable water in the street. That means fountains or these kind of things that here in Alcoy are very scarce, and I didn't realize it before, okay? That's...
Excellent. Then, what if, the last part, Javier?
Here we concentrated on solutions that perhaps are not ready on the market, but we think they were good ideas for the future of air quality in the city. First, not to lose the energy that is lost normally on transportation, meaning when different vehicles are braking, when they are moving around, they are consuming energy that is really not applied to direct movement, but to making the brakes heat up or whatever portion. So for that, we will need, for example, supercapacitors, apart from applying motor brakes, which is just beginning to be developed, but could be a very good idea for a more efficient car transportation. Then we should redesign cities in the sense of urbanism so that we don't need to move further away to get all the services that we need, going to school, going to work, buying our food, so that urban redesign could help quite a lot in making the actual city being more efficient. Obviously, we should try to improve the rate of clean cars, of high rated efficient cars in use by the population. The problem normally with these cars is the prices, which are very high for efficient cars, for electric cars, and the only way to compensate is either to introduce some savings, some money that is given for free by the government, or the other way around, introducing taxes to people who are unaware of the environment and making a bad use of the resources we have. Last part, something that is coming up is using the internet for sharing everything, even cars. This is a reality in some cases for long distance transportation, but it could be perfectly applied to normal short distance movements. For example, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, there are some services where you can hire cars in the same way as you hire bicycles in some other cities. You can hire for 2 hours, for 3 hours a car. That's really very efficient, and that it certainly could help all us in improving the quality of air in the city.
Excellent.
No, this is mine.
I don't
Yes,
know why.
we...
Sorry. It's the last one.
Your? Okay, if we in the theme of water, we have we think it's an important deal, the more efficient water reuse. Above all, the use of grey water from some uses. This is water that is not useful for drinking, but we can employ them for instance for cleaning, for watering parks and so on. Also, public purification of water and enhancing the distribution of water. All of them public points in the city. Again, it was discussed before. Points in the city where people can drink water. This is very scarce here, and also increasing how we can do. Another problem we have detected is the high amount of energy that is involved here in Alcoy in wastewater treatment. So another idea was the use of small wastewater treatment systems for building, or to use another kind of purification systems which could be more sustainable than the wastewater treatment plant.
Excellent. We have spent around 18 minutes for making the result, the resume. Do you have any comment to add to the rest of the group, being the facilitators of each of the groups? Any comment you could add?
I think you are missing my wish.
Oh, sorry.
Or our wish. We work a lot. We have 2 pages about that.
Great.
The what if, yeah.
I have them here. Energía. That's
There one. We have 2 pages. We work really hard for that.
sorry. First floor, the first page.
So we talk about starting that Alcoy might need its own energy company to manage electricity. So what if Alcoy has its own electricity company? We talk about insulating buildings from the inside. How can we do that, and what if we do it? We talk about what if we use geothermal energy. We are not sure if that's possible in Alcoy, but why not studying? We talk about what if about some taxes to buildings, for buildings and for public transport too, to go on favor of that. Car sharing, we also mentioned that. Oh, and we had a good one. Closing every Sunday the main road of Alcoy. So we know that they do something like that in other countries. So maybe it could be a good thing to do here. Let me see. No buses? What was that? Yeah.
I wrote it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, I wrote it. So, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry.
Here is the guilty.
I'm the guilty one. No, what if there will be no losses in energy transformations? That was the word.
What if we have no losses in energy transformation? That could be really, really good. People walking to work. And I think that the main issue that it gets in every of these 3 parts, it's education. Every idea we had, we related with lack of education and lack of knowledge about energy issues locally and globally. And the last one, that one is good, involving companies and local sports clubs to get people to know better energy problems and make them solve it. So that's it.
Excellent. Again, sorry for that.
We are a big group here.
Yeah,
you have to take care
right.
when you go.
That's why I correct. So, I don't not only feel guilty, but also terrified. So, and now the floor is yours to make any final comment for any of the groups before having the open discussion.
Very quickly, here there are different instances where we can work for really making a city sustainable. The first one is the social part. We have to work a lot on education, we have to work a lot on people really being aware of the problem and taking the right measures in the right direction. That, for me, is the key point, because if we don't believe in our final destination, we won't get there. Second, making good use of sense. For example, I've heard some, not in these groups, but in other groups, some quite silly developments on several things which are not sustainable at all, making things sustainable. For example, very clear, if we increase the number of electric cars, we could solve air quality, but to the cost of the environment. Because has anyone thought of the limitations of batteries? Lithium is a really strategic material, very scarce, and a great pollutant of water and many other things. What will happen if we begin to use electric cars in the big numbers, as we are using, for example, cell phones, which are not needed at all for anything? They are also using these strategic materials, and it's a very polluting material. So we need to develop further new materials and act with the overall balance of sustainability in the right sense. That's more or less our conclusion.
Well, I want to focus on that. We have just worked for 5 hours, and we have reached to we have arrived to different conclusions. These are important conclusions. I have to take that I have prepared one theme to work, to one subject to work with, but we changed the complete programmation. So, and I have to tell you that the final conclusion that we reached was the same that I was trying to find in a more, I don't know what to say, directed way. Okay, so perhaps it's interesting. It could be an added value for you and for the city if you want to keep on working in this point. In case you want to keep on working, the people here in Alcoy and in the area, please contact us and we'll try to do it. Okay, that's
Conclusion?
Yes, well, I already told you. I think our main conclusion was that we need people to know what is the problem and to aware our community. And if we get to do that, it's really easier to get into any of this I wish stuff that would be really great, and we will improve energy a lot.
So, now it's time for applause, if you want to applause them. Thank you very much. And now the floor.